Now, let's be honest. On game nights, do you have that friend or family member that takes way too long when it's their turn? Do you wish you had an automatic buzzer to end their turn and put you out of your misery? Welcome to Game Night Buzzer, a DIY one-button clock-style timer. Press the button, your turn ends, the next player's countdown starts. In this episode, we'll build a Raspberry Pi LED turn timer with a buzzer. Green when you're good, yellow when you're running out of time, red and a beep when your turn is over. If you're watching this in 2025, stay tuned to the very end for my giveaway on how to enter. Now, let's get started. The materials you'll need for this project are you'll need a breadboard, you'll need a red, green, yellow LED. This is a piezo buzzer. I'll be using that in this tutorial. You'll need a button. Here is an example button, and it's got this little press. With your LEDs, they do recommend you use 330 ohm resistors, which I have right here. And you'll need a bunch of these jumper cables. You'll need male to female jumper cables, male to male, female to female. You'll just need all the different variations to connect your components to this breadboard, to the Raspberry Pi. Of course, you will need your Raspberry Pi. This is a Raspberry Pi 3, but you could also use a Raspberry Pi 4 or even a 5. If you need a monitor, a mouse, a keyboard, whatever peripherals you'll need, you'll also need that, of course. Now, I wanted to show you something. If you don't want to do the LEDs with the resistors, I found this online one day. It was a package of LEDs with the resistors already soldered in. You can cut them down like this, and then you can also connect it. That way, of course, you would need to get a female connector in there to attach it to these pins on the Raspberry Pi, but that's also an option. And those are the materials that you'll need for this project. We are starting off with a default desktop of our Raspberry Pi. I'm going to go ahead and get a terminal started. And as always, we always want to start off with a sudo app update and a sudo app upgrade. Now we are on our GitHub page, Game Night Buzzer. I will link to this below. And we have finished our update upgrade. And so now I'm going to git clone all the source code in my GitHub. Hit enter. And it has copied everything into my Game Night Buzzer. So now let's open up our file manager. And we'll see the folder Game Night Buzzer, my code in pi-leds. I'm going to use an iterative approach to make sure each step works along the way before we get to the final project. So let's start with wiring up our LEDs. To start things off, I've connected my resistors to the LEDs. The LEDs, the negative is all running along this negative line right here. So let's just go ahead and connect the ground to the ground on this line here. And then we're going to connect it to some GPIOs. Now this is really up to you, but the default code that I provided on GitHub has our LEDs wired to GPIO pins 23, 24, and 25. And I'll get those connected right up. Per the wiring diagram, I've connected the green LED to GPIO 23, the yellow to GPIO 24, and red to GPIO 25. I'm going to right click and I'm going to open with Genie Programmer's Editor. And here is step one. Let's make sure these LEDs work. Hit run by clicking this paper airplane icon. And you can see my screen, it says green, yellow, red. So as each light comes on, it just cycles through green, yellow, red, and then starts over again. And that's how we check to make sure we have our LEDs working. Now, troubleshooting tip, if one or two of your LEDs, but not all three, light up, check your GPIO pins. If none of them are lighting up, check your ground pin or check to make sure you've got your connections wired properly. But that is step one. It works. I'm going to Control C to get out of it. And now let's go back to Pi LEDs and let's open up file number 2. And here is the buzzer. There is one lead that is longer than the other. This is the positive. The long one is the positive. The short one is the negative. And we will put that into our board. And let's go ahead and wire up the negative. to the ground line of our breadboard. Let us wire our buzzer pin to GPIO 18 from the positive to GPIO 18. And I'm going to hit the run button. And there you go. There you hear the beeping noise and then you see it on the screen. So every time it beeps, it says beep. All right, I'm going to hit Control C to stop it. Let's go back to Pi LEDs. I'm going to right click on the button and I'm going to open it in Genie. And we're going to connect the button to GPIO 17. This is a standard push button. He actually has 4 leads, so there might be some trial and error if you don't get this right the first time. So let's put this down into the breadboard, and then we're going to connect our negative to the ground, and then we will connect our positive to GPIO 17. And let's test it out. It says press the button to start. I'll press the button. And it says button pressed, and all the lights light up. So let's try that again. Button pressed, press the button, and it beeps, and all the lights come on. Press the button, everything lights up, it beeps, and when it resets, it tells me to press the button again. There we go. And that is to make sure it all works. Excellent. Control C to get out of that. Timer LEDs.py. Right click. I'm going to open it in Genie. Before we run this, I just want to point out, to make this go really quick for the video, is the turn is now only 10 seconds. You're going to be warned you're running out of time at 4 seconds, and then you're going to get a warning at 2 seconds with the red light. You should change this to probably 60 seconds. I'm just going to do this for the demo, and then when you do this for game night, I'd highly suggest changing it to the proper amount of time. Otherwise, your turns are only going to be 10 seconds each. Run this. Press the button to start. I'll press the button. And now it is green for the first 6 seconds. Then it moves to yellow. Then it moves to red. And there you go. Your time is up. To start your turn, you press the button. And we're going to get this down to yellow, but you can restart it. Let's say I'm done. I've done my turn. I want to switch it to the next person. I can just press the button again. If I'm ready to start the timer again, then I just press the button. And if I want to start the timer, boom, all I have to do is press the button again. So you don't have to wait for the time to run out. If you haven't used up all your time and you want to start it over again, just press the button and it moves to the next player. And that's how you know. So if the light is green, you know you've got time, yellow, no, and then press the button to start the next time. So that way you can interrupt if you're really fast. And that's how this project works. In the last step, we got everything working. Now I've 3D printed this case, and I have put the 3 LEDs. This is the button. I've 3D printed something on top of the button to make the button bigger, easier to press, and this is the piezo buzzer, and I've connected everything through a breadboard and some wires, and I've connected everything onto the GPIO pins of my Raspberry Pi, and there are different variations of how you can do this. I will leave the STL files for the Raspberry 4 here. There's also a Raspberry 3 version. I think it also works with the Raspberry 5. The Raspberry 4 version does. I've fitted it all inside this case here, and now it works great. So you just press the button to get started. Let's say you want your turn to be over. You want to signal the other person has to go, so you press the button again, and then it restarts the timer. And that's your game night buzzer basic build. 1 button to flip turns, LEDs for status, and a timeout buzzer. Faster turns, fewer arguments. In the next video, we'll add on an LCD screen so you can see the active number of seconds remaining. This is going to be part of a larger series where we'll do this project with other hardware. So please subscribe so you won't miss anything. If you're watching this in 2025, I'm giving away 3 Google AIY Voice Kits version 1, one each month in September, October, and November. The Raspberry Pi 3 is not included. You'll need to provide your own Pi, US only, and I'm only shipping within the US, no international. To enter in September 2025, comment on this video and then fill out the entry form linked in the description. Entries are open September 1st through the 30th. I will randomly draw a winner live on my channel. Good luck. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.